Welcome back to the secret underground lair. So I made a second pass, a couple things a little different. I went 2 millimeters progression this time instead of 1 millimeter, so it goes a little bit faster. It's an obviously a rougher cut. On the final pass, or maybe the final two passes, I'll slow down to 1 millimeter, makes a smoother cut. But I made a rather embarrassing mistake. The second batch of G-code that I ran had the fat end or the bottom end of the guitar at this end and the top at this end, which means I just kind of messed up. So this was supposed to be the bottom. So from now on, everything, this is the bottom, but I do have this little gap here that I'm going to try and fiddle with. So this is why we make test blanks. So what I'm going to do is I cut little bits of strips here. I'm just going to glue these guys in here just for fun. You have to make up about 2 millimeters of that, or a little over 1 millimeter on that initial pass. So I'm just going to glue this stuff in here, and subsequent planing or milling of this will restore that edge. I'll need to run it through this way horizontally again just to plane that off, but we'll give this a try. What could possibly go wrong? So I have some little filler pieces now glued in place here just to kind of help me restore this bad cut that I made, my oops on the CNC machine. So these are a little bit proud of the surface. You can see there, they're just a little bit proud. So I'm going to run a bit of G-code now that'll just take this level here down to this level. Just even that up. And then on subsequent passes with the scooping out, we'll just be carving away a little bit of the edge of this. So that's what I'm going to do now, just to kind of recover from the damage that I did with my last bit of G-code. The pass complete. This has been now taken down to almost the height of this. I'm out by a little bit less than 1 millimeter, but that's going to be just fine. I'm quite okay with that. Again, this is just a test piece, so I'm not terribly concerned. I just want to make sure that all of the sculpting logic is going to work from this point forward. By the way, you may have noticed that I now have a little shroud here to which I can attach the hose for the anaconda for the dust collection, so that gives me a significantly better dust collection than what I had before. And I don't have to stand around and hold the hose. So with that little bit of correction done, we're back to our sculpting logic. So we'll bring you back when I'm ready to make the next pass. Here's another pass made, getting a little bit deeper into the top here. And you can see where I've put on those little strips now. They've been cut out and restored the outer perimeter to where it needs to be. So happy with that. Again, like I say, this is a bit of an experiment, so a few mistakes along the way aren't totally catastrophic. But I'll set the router up for making another pass, going down another 2 millimeters. I'll do that off camera and come back when that next pass is done. So on this most recent pass, I ran into a little bit of an issue where my Z-axis started misbehaving. It kind of went up here a little bit, was not consistent through here and then dropped off in this area quite considerably. So I thought maybe the router bit is slipping, so I took the router off. The bit is actually firmly in place, so it's not a problem with the router. That bit is not slipping within the collet. So I came back and had a look at my Z-axis here, and my very clever idea of using a pin to go through that into the motor shaft is a point of failure. On the threaded rod, we're okay because the threaded rod is a little bit thicker and it binds a little bit better, but it was a little bit loose on the motor shaft. So I've replaced that pin now with a hose clamp, and that is holding it fairly steady. So I'm going to do a little bit of testing with that, put the rotor back in and finish up this cut. Alrighty, I'm back. Made a few changes to the process here. After fiddling around and examining things, I finally found the cause of why I'm getting these gouges here. And the short version of it all is that the stepper motor lifting the rotor up was losing steps as it got out to this part. I believe it was here. It could have been on this side as well. But as it gets here, it has to raise the rotor up rather quickly, particularly as it gets into its narrowest spot here. So it would be raising the rotor up very quickly and losing steps. And it was losing steps on the lifting. So where it thought it was at a particular height, it loses a couple steps. That means it drops down a little bit every time as it comes through here, and gradually the rotor was getting deeper and deeper and making these huge gouges here. So I've done three things to solve that. One, I increased the amount of power that's going to the stepper motor here, so it's a little bit more torque to it. I have slowed down the speed of travel so that there's a little bit more time for the rotor to be raised up here. And thirdly, rather than going the full width every time, which I had been doing up to this point, I thought, well, why don't I just, if I'm taking off 2 millimeters at a time, stop when I get to this edge, because there's no more to be taken off here. So I'm just going over the same path. So I thought, I'll just go the 2 millimeters at a time all the way down. There will be a final pass where I'm going to go 1 millimeter at a time, and for that I will slow the rotor down and make the full width pass just to kind of clean up everything as we go. So, a couple little things learned, and that's why I'm doing this test blank. I'm kind of happy with how that's coming. As you saw in the last little clip, I put on this new shroud to try and gather up the dust, and that's doing very well. Unfortunately, I dropped the Anaconda on the concrete floor, and I broke off this little attachment, my hose attachment, so I had to print a new one of those. So that's a new one, and that fits in here nicely, and I'm still trying to figure out the best arrangement for the Anaconda as it sits here on the table while the router's going. But these are all things that I'm learning. And of course, the next thing that I want to put on here will be a cable track for the cable going to here, so that I'm not drifting this cable back and forth. There should be a cable track running horizontally too, but I'm not worried about that right now because there's not a lot of strain on those cables at the moment. So that's just kind of a quick update of where we are. And I'll call that a video because there's a few clips associated with this progress to date. I'm going to continue on sculpting this out, getting down to our 6 millimeter depth. And then we can flip the piece over and start working on the top side. So I'll come back when I'm ready to flip it. Thanks very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next video.